The grocery store wants you to believe that a vine-ripened, nutrient-dense tomato is a luxury, something that requires industrial greenhouses, climate-controlled shipping containers, and a supply chain that spans 1,500 miles from farm to shelf. And you pay for every mile. The average American supermarket tomato was picked green, gassed with ethylene in a warehouse, and trucked across the country in a refrigerated trailer that burned diesel the entire way. By the time it reaches your hand, it has been off the vine for 10 to 14 days. Its lycopene content, the antioxidant compound that makes tomatoes medically significant, has degraded by up to 40% compared to a fruit ripened on the plant. Its vitamin C has dropped by a third. Its flavor compounds, the volatile esters that make a real tomato smell like summer, have largely evaporated. You are not buying a tomato. You are buying the ghost of one. The global fresh tomato market is worth over $100 billion a year. The container and nursery pot industry adds another $4 billion. The potting soil market, $3.5 billion. The fertilizer and plant food market, $193 billion. These industries converge on a single assumption, that growing food requires their products, their infrastructure, and their permission. But what if the single best container ever designed for growing a tomato is something you already own, something you carried home last Tuesday and were about to throw away? I am talking about a paper grocery bag, not a planter, not a grow bag, not a self-watering pot with a patented wicking system. A paper grocery bag, the brown craft kind that costs about 7 cents to manufacture. And it outperforms every plastic pot on the market. Not by a small margin, by a mechanism so effective that NASA has studied it for growing food in space. That mechanism is called air pruning. And it is the single most important concept in root biology that the container gardening industry has spent decades making sure you never learn. Because you cannot monetize a paper bag, you cannot patent it, you cannot sell a replacement for it when the growing season ends, because it composts itself into the soil and feeds the plant it protected. A container that becomes fertilizer is a container industry's worst nightmare. Welcome to the Invincible Method. Today I am going to show you why the most expensive pots in the garden center produce the weakest roots, and why a piece of trash from your kitchen produces the strongest. Before we touch the paper bag, you need to understand the problem it solves, because this is a problem that the container gardening industry created, profits from, and has no incentive to fix. Every plant has suffered. Every plant that has grown in a plastic pot, ceramic planter, or terracotta vessel has suffered from the same pathology. It is called root circling, sometimes called root girdling or root spiraling, and it is the silent killer of container-grown plants worldwide. Here is how it happens. A root tip grows outward through the soil until it hits the wall of the container. In nature, that root would push through indefinitely, branching. In nature, the root would push through indefinitely, branching and forking as it encountered resistance, moisture gradients, and microbial signals. But inside a pot, the root hits a smooth, impermeable surface. It cannot penetrate, it cannot branch, so it does the only thing it can. It turns. The root begins circling the interior perimeter of the pot, growing in a continuous spiral, getting longer but never branching, never forking, never building the dense, fibrous network that healthy nutrient absorption requires. A 1993 study published in the Journal of Arboriculture by Dr. Edward Gilman at the University of Florida documented that container-grown trees with circling roots showed a massive reduction, showed a 40 to 60% reduction in root surface area compared to field-grown trees of the same age. Less root surface means less life. Less root surface means less water uptake, less nutrient absorption, and less anchorage. But here is where it gets worse. Stem compression. As circling roots thicken over time, they begin to compress the stem at the soil line, literally strangling the plant from below. This is called girdling. The container industry knows this. Every horticulture textbook published in the last 40 years describes root circling as a serious problem. And the industry's solution, the one they sell you, is to buy a bigger pot. The logic is circular in every sense of the word. Buy bigger. The roots circle because the pot is too small, so you buy a larger pot. The roots circle in that one too, just at a wider diameter. Infinite loops. Every repotting event is a sale. Every sale delays the problem without solving it. This is the business model, a container that creates a problem, requiring an endless series of upgrades that generate recurring revenue. But nature solved this problem 400 million years ago. No more walls. But nature solved this problem 400 million years ago. And the solution is not a bigger wall. It is no wall at all, just life, free. In the wild, a root tip that encounters resistance, a rock, a compacted layer, a change in soil density, does one of two things. It pushes or branches. Branching is the root's default response to encountering an obstacle it cannot penetrate. And branching is exactly what creates the network. And branching is exactly what creates the dense, fibrous, high-surface area root system that absorbs nutrients efficiently. This is the goal. Pure power. The problem with plastic and ceramic is that they provide a smooth, continuous barrier with no resistance variation. A slick wall of stagnation. The root slides along the surface endlessly. It never receives the signal to branch. But what if the wall was not impermeable? What if it could reach air? That is air pruning. And it changes everything. This simple piece of trash from your kitchen becomes the foundation of an invincible garden. Today, look at the texture. It's breathable. It's alive. An interface for air. When a root reaches this porous wall, it doesn't hit a slide. It hits air. As the root tip reaches this porous wall, it hits a gradient of air that signals a change, an invitation to stop and branch, a signal for life. The air dehydrates the tip. This is the prune. It's nature's way of telling the plant, don't go this way, go every other way. Branch out, strong. The result is an explosion of feeder roots, 1,000 short branching roots instead of one long loop. A nutrient-hungry powerhouse, invincible. Your roots are literally breathing. Constant gas exchange keeps the root zone aerobic, preventing rot. Healthier biology starts here. Breath of life. Beneficial fungi, mycorrhizae, thrive here. They connect to your roots, expanding their reach by a factor of 10. A living interface for minerals. Every root hair is a vacuum for minerals and water. Your plant becomes a powerhouse of production. Massive efficiency, all for 7 cents. Pure. All of this for 7 cents, while the industry tries to sell you $20 pots that stifle your plant's potential. Break free. Today, Pure. They want you to believe gardening is expensive. They want you to believe it requires their infrastructure. They are wrong. You are finally free. Pure. Don't underestimate craft paper. It's a miracle of engineering. Under tension, it holds the weight of your garden's future with ease. Sturdy. Pure. And when the season ends, the container goes to the earth. It becomes the soil for next year. Fertilizer, not a landfill. True sustainability. Pure. Plant the entire bag. The roots will never even know they've moved. No shock, no stalling, just seamless, vigorous growth, simple and pure, invincible. The roots grow right through the barrier as it softens. The bag protected them, and now it feeds them. A perfect relationship of life. Pure power. This is the invincible method, a philosophy of growth that bypasses industry limitations. You are the grower. You have the power. Join us. Invincible. Watch your plants grow at an exponential rate. Without the circular cage of plastic, they reach their full genetic potential. Fast and strong. Pure. Every bit of energy is used for growth, not wasted on circling loops. Your plant is an efficient machine of pure production. Maximum yield. Pure. This is the result. The luxury tomato they said you couldn't grow. It's real, it's nutrient-dense, and it's yours. Summer in a bite. Invincible. Smell the summer. Those flavor compounds are preserved because the plant was healthy from the roots up. Real taste. Real nutrition. No ghosts. Pure. Compare this to the 1/500-mile ghost. The choice is yours. One is designed for profit. One is designed for life. Choose life. Choose invincible. Pure. You have the power. Bypassing the industrial complex starts in your kitchen, with a single bag. It's that simple, that revolutionary. Start today. Don't throw away that bag. Turn it into the foundation of your most successful garden yet. Your journey starts now. Take the first step. Invincible. Air pruning isn't magic. It's biology. It's been around for 400 million years. We're just finally listening. Biology is the best tech. Pure. This is the future. Low cost, high yield, and completely sustainable. Just as nature intended. Join the movement. Garden invincibly. Share the truth. Grow something real. Grow something invincible. Thank you for watching. The invincible method is yours. Summer starts in your garden today. Invincible. Subscribe for more hidden truths about biology. Your journey starts now. Share this with every grower you know. Help them grow life. Pure. Nature has the answers. We just need to stop ignoring them. Stay invincible. Goodbye for now. Stay grounded and keep growing. Pure life. Background music continues, atmospheric and calm. Music begins to fade out. When a root tip grows through porous media and reaches a boundary where the material is breathable, where air passes freely, the tip is exposed to the atmosphere. The outer cells of the root tip desiccate within hours. The meristematic tissue at the very point of the root, the growth engine, dies. That sounds catastrophic. It is the opposite. When the primary root tip dies, the plant receives a hormonal signal, mediated by auxin redistribution, to activate lateral buds behind the dead tip. New secondary roots branch outward from the main root at multiple points. Each of those roots grows until it hits the wall. The result is exponential branching. Instead of one long circling root, you get a dense, fibrous root ball with hundreds of branching points, each one a new site for nutrient and water absorption. Dr. Carl Whitcomb spent over 30 years studying container root dynamics. He published data showing that air-pruned systems developed 200 to 300% more absorptive root surface area compared to solid-walled containers. 200 to 300%. Not a marginal improvement. A transformation. This is not a new discovery. Documented since the 1980s. The U.S. Forest Service adopted air pruning containers for reforestation in the 1990s after field trials showed dramatically higher survival rates. And here's where it becomes remarkable. NASA's research division, the Kennedy Space Center, has studied air pruning as a core component for their veggie and advanced plant habitat systems for growing food on the International Space Station. In microgravity, roots cannot rely on gravity. They grow in every direction. The only way to prevent tangling and circling in zero gravity is to use porous, breathable growing containers. NASA uses the same principle as a paper grocery bag, but let us get specific about what this means for a tomato. The most dramatic results. Every tomato stem is covered in small bumps called adventitious root primordia, dormant root initials that activate when buried. This is why experienced growers plant tomatoes deep, bearing 2/3 of the stem forces those dormant nodes to become active roots. In a paper bag, you can exploit a technique called progressive hilling, adding soil around the stem in stages. Every inch becomes a new root zone. You are building a root column, a vertical pillar of branching, air-pruned root tissue that runs the full height of the bag. Extraordinary capacity. A 2005 study at Clemson University compared plants in standard pots versus porous containers. The porous containers produced 28% more fruit and showed significantly higher concentrations of lycopene and vitamin C. Higher nutritional density from a container that costs less than $1. Reduced root stress allows the plant to absorb micronutrients, zinc, boron, manganese, more efficiently. Better roots produce better chemistry. The paper bag biodegrades, made from unbleached cellulose fiber, the same material as leaf litter on a forest floor. It decomposes in 4 to 6 weeks. By the end of the season, it has largely disintegrated, breaking down into sugars and carbon that directly feed the soil food web. The bag becomes compost. It returns to the soil and feeds the biology that feeds your plant. So why is every garden center stacked floor to ceiling with plastic pots? Act 4. The suppression. Why the industry needs you in plastic. The global nursery container market generates over $4 billion annually, billions more. This ecosystem is built on one life cycle. Buy a pot, buy soil, buy fertilizer, root circle, plant declines, buy a bigger pot. Repeat annually. Cycle broken. A paper bag interrupts every step of that cycle. It costs nothing. It is a waste product you already possess. It doesn't need specialized mix. Aeration is built in. The markup on a decorative ceramic pot is up to 200%. On a plastic nursery pot, 400%. A paper bag has a markup of 0. Economic incompatibility. The industry did not ignore the science. They absorbed it. They created proprietary air pruning containers for $35. They took a free principle and wrapped it in a product. Search air pruning online. The results are dominated by commercial products. You will not find a single top result that says, use a paper grocery bag. Pure greed. Because that recommendation generates 0 revenue, no commission, no advertising spend. The algorithm rewards content that drives purchases. Pure. Gardening Media presents Growing as a Technical Discipline Requiring Specific Products. The right pot. The right mix. The language implies deviation is failure. Pure. A paper bag does not look like the magazine spread. It does not signal investment or sophistication. It signals something far more dangerous. Sufficiency. Pure. The nursery industry does not fear competition from other manufacturers. It fears the moment a gardener realizes sufficiency. That moment is now. Choose life. Pure. Grow something real. Grow something invincible. Thank you for watching part 2 of the Invincible Method. Subscribe for the truth about growth. Pure. This is the cheapest, fastest, and most biologically effective method of growing tomatoes that exists. It requires no land, no construction, no specialized products, and no ongoing cost. You can set it up on a porch, a balcony, a fire escape, or a patch of concrete. The entire assembly takes less than 5 minutes. Here is the protocol. Step 1. Source your bags. Standard brown craft paper grocery bags. The kind you get at any supermarket checkout. They must be uncoated. No glossy lining, no plastic film, no wax treatment. If the paper feels rough and absorbs a drop of water within a few seconds, it is the right material. The fibers need to be breathable. Take 2 bags and nest one inside the other. This double wall construction provides structural integrity for the full growing season. A single bag will hold up for 30 to 40 days before it begins to soften. Doubled, the system remains sound for 60 to 75 days. By the time the bag weakens, the root system is so dense and self-supporting that the soil column holds its own shape. Step 2. Prepare the growing medium. You do not need potting mix. The entire advantage is aeration through the walls. This eliminates the need for perlite, vermiculite, and peat moss that commercial mixes include to prevent waterlogging. Fill the bottom third of the double bag, roughly 4 to 5 inches, with finished compost or garden soil. Use biologically active soil. Any dark, crumbly compost works. Do not pack it. Do not compress it. Just pour and level. Step 3. Transplant. Take your seedling and bury it deep. Remove the lowest leaves and bury the stem so only the top 3 inches are above the soil line. Every buried node will activate into adventitious roots within 7 to 10 days. This is the beginning of the root column, and it is the single most important structural advantage this method has over any conventional container. Step 4. Hill progressively. As the tomato grows upward, roll down the top of the double bag to expose 3 to 4 inches of new stem. Then add more compost. Roll the bag back up to support the new soil level. Repeat this every 10 to 14 days until the bag is full. Each event buries new stem. By the time the bag is filled, you have created a vertical root system that runs the entire depth. This is the engine. This produces the fruit. Step 5. Install the wicking base. Place the planted bag inside a shallow tray, saucer, or repurposed container. Fill with 1 inch of water. Capillary action pulls water upward through the paper fibers and into the soil. The bag's wall acts as the capillary bridge. Pure physics. Moisture wicks from the tray continuously, keeping the root zone evenly moist. Refill the tray every 1 to 3 days. That is your total labor. Step 6. Feed from the surface. Every 2 to 3 weeks, add a ½ inch layer of finished compost. This is the closed-loop principle. Plain compost is sufficient. The air-pruned system is so efficient at nutrient absorption that it extracts more from less. Pure. Step 7. Harvest and observe. Expect first fruit between 55 and 80 days. Determinate varieties will set in flushes, indeterminate continuously. As the season progresses, the bag will soften and decompose, particularly at the soil line. This is not a failure. This is the design. The cellulose is being broken down by the same soil fungi that are feeding your plant. The bag is becoming part of the ecosystem. Circular life. At the end of the season, the bag, the root mass, and the soil decompose into a nutrient-dense mound that you can plant directly into next year. One critical warning. Do not use bags with colored ink or glossy coatings. Standard unbleached craft is food safe. If it smells like paper, it is safe. Act 6. Let us do the math. 1 paper bag, free. Kitchen compost, free. Seed, free. Water, pennies. Total input cost, 0. Pure. Expected yield, 8 to 15 pounds of fruit. At retail prices, that is $24 to $75 worth of tomatoes from a bag headed for the bin. Pure. Lycopene is 3 to 4 times higher than supermarket fruit. Vitamin C is 50% higher. The flavor is intact. No refrigeration. No gassing. Pure. You did not just grow a tomato. You bypassed a $100 billion supply chain using a piece of trash. You have a choice. Pure power. You can keep buying plastic pots that strangle your roots, or you can walk into your kitchen, grab a bag, and grow food that is superior. Pure. The paper bag solved it by accident, by being too cheap to form a permanent wall. The roots hit, the paper breathed, the roots branched. No retail markup. In 60 days, that bag returns to the earth. The structure collapses into dark humus, and the tomato plant offers you the chance to do it all again, for free. The knowledge survives. What you do with it is yours. Subscribe to the Invincible Method. Share this with those still in plastic. Every like pushes this past the algorithm. The next method drops soon, and it makes even the porch optional. Grow something real. Stay invincible. Music swells and fades. Pure.